Hello, beautiful people and fellow whiners, and welcome to another episode of A Little Something, the number 2, because it's 2 of us, Wine About with your host, Siobhan Camille.
And I Michelle.
Where sips get real and we whine while we whine. I'm trying to figure out, like, my ears look really big. Anyway, sips get real and we whine while we whine about life, love, relationships, and so much more. Come join us on YouTube if you're listening to this. Just come on over to the YouTube channel and hit subscribe. Just get it out of the way. So it is 4th Wednesday, and this is for the culture. And this is gonna be more for the ladies of the culture, but fellas, y'all part actually. Y'all are a little included in this, so feel free to listen. We're gonna talk about insurance. We're gonna talk about these kids. But we're going to talk about the decisions to have them and birth them and all of that. And it might be a little timely because, I mean, at this point, people ain't going to really have many decisions to make because the government done told you what you're not going to do is. So grab a glass of your favorite red, white, rosé, sparkling cider, Pinot de Agua, and join us on this here couch, if you will.
Yes, dear ladies and gentlemen, get comfortable because we about to wine on something that anybody and everybody who has had anything with it or everything to do with a child can relate to. And that is having them. Just having them in general. But before we get into all that, sis, look, okay, so we have not had a sis what you been up to moment. So let's do it. After we talk about this popping grapes experiences that we about to have, because y'all know October is our Save the Tata breast care awareness. Breast cancer awareness. So it's our pink October in honor of that. So Siobhan, what is your pink drink?
So my pink drink is a 2018 Bordeaux Rosé by Harmony by Boys to Men.
Oh, I've been looking for that.
So I was surprised I found it in my area. And if y'all, I live in the sticks, y'all, so okay. But I walked into the gas station liquor store because it's like all of this in one thing, deli, all of that. Yeah, I live out here. And I walked in, I guess they're celebrating their pink October because when you walk in on the right, it's pink.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's rosé. And I was like, but I saw Harmony. And then I saw by Boys to Men. I said, oh, let me support Black.
There you go.
You know, and this was definitely a conscious, since we for the culture. I didn't even think about it.
For the culture.
But it was definitely a conscious thing because they were like $9 more expensive than my next choice. And I really was like, nope, I'm going to live into it.
We're gonna give you the coin, you know. We're gonna get the coins. No, but I wanted, when we was doing in February, we was doing the Black brands, and I was looking up and I was like, oh, I want to try that one. Like I had all these ones that I wanted to try. And then my pockets at the time was saying, okay, now come back. And then my location was saying, okay, now narrow it down.
Right.
Because my pockets I could manipulate a little bit, but my location was like, no. So the fact that you have it, I'm like, yay, and I'm excited that I'll get to try it at the wine out. But in honor of Pink Save the Tata month, I think Katina Gabrielle, Pink Moscato. It's a sweet rosé wine product of Italy. And I saw it and was like, I'll do pink Moscato because I don't really want a rosé, but you know, most pink is a rosé of some sort. So I was like, Moscato grape, let's go. Y'all know I'm not a Moscato fan for real. So I was like, but if we're gonna do it, this is what I'm gonna do. So, and as always, it has no description on the back. So, you know, it's a typical Thai Michelle wine. So yeah. Yeah, I wanted to try a white Zinfandel, but they didn't have it. Like it was like bottle, empty row, bottle. I was like, and of course the empty row was the white.
Was the white Zinfandel. Yep.
So
okay.
That's how that happened. That's how that happened. So let's okay, ladies and gentlemen. This topic came about like off
2 seconds ago.
Kind of. We talked about cuffing season with the episode Whining with the Guys series last week or week before last, one of them. Last week, yeah. About Whining with the Guys and talked about cuffing season. And y'all know. So from that conversation, after stop recording, other conversations start. So I was like, okay, well, sis, we can talk about that. You know? So let's talk about these kids. And when we say these kids, we're talking about like the process of having them. Is it some planning? We want to talk about planning, and then we're going to touch bases, of course, on unplanned, because about 95% of us was unplanned. I'm gonna just be honest. So, and you know, it's things that's going on in our lives that have happened on both sides, where there have been, well, for me, there was an unplanned by me, and the process of and possibility of even thinking about considering almost kind of sort of maybe having another at some point. And with Siobhan not having any biological, that's a thought process that she has had as well. So we said, let's talk about it. Let's grab a glass and let's talk about it. So Siobhan, what I'm gonna let you go first. What is your whole thought process on like the kid? Dun, dun, dun.
So I have always wanted children, y'all. I think that I've said that in this before. If y'all are fellow whiners, y'all been on the couch, y'all have sat with us before, y'all know that's nothing new. My issue with the having of the children is that man part, y'all. It's that guy. It's the fact that I can't do it by myself. Okay.
Oh.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna lean into this real quick. And if y'all haven't seen it, we did our bonus this last wine 2 weeks ago. Simpson pick me's. I'm gonna fall into the pick me, I guess, category real quick when I say this. I'm not like average girl. I'm not like most chicks. And the funny part is, if y'all haven't seen, y'all just check it out. Just click the link right there if you have.
And it's audio, so you can listen to it on your way home.
It is. That's the audio one. Yeah. It was a rant and rave behind the scenes because our original
true rant and rave, y'all.
Yeah, you know. I'm not like most girls, okay, and I don't say that to get guys' attention and like, oh, I'm not, but I'm really not, and I think it's because I don't. There's a song that I was listening to when I was driving to Walmart earlier, and it was like, I can't remember who sings it, but it was like, I never time my heart. That's my song. And that's me. I really don't know how to love people well, right? And I think that that's a byproduct of just my rearing and my growing up in a very cerebral household with 2 science-minded parents. Okay. So I've always wanted kids because I've always wanted that love, but it was like, a man now would, and I've said it before and I will say it again because it's true, and I miss my grandmother and her birthday's coming up. That I told her, I want 5 kids like you, Nan. And she was like, oh, okay, what about your husband? I said, well, what? Why would I need a husband to do that? And she was like, Siobhan, I said, I mean, have you looked at the dudes in my generation? Because I'm 12 years old, I've taken a glance. And I am looking at crickets, okay? Nothing. So I've always wanted children, but I don't like to date. I don't like getting to know new people. I'm team no new friends, y'all. If in the first, and Michelle can attest to this, if within the first 48 hours of knowing you, we don't have an instant click, we probably not going beyond those first 48. Like, that's gonna be the true first 48.
Next time on the first 48. New guy.
If I really don't vibe, my best friend and I vibe within 48 hours. She was my best friend in 48 hours. She's been my best friend since, I'm not even gonna date us like that, but it's over a decade, y'all. Like, she been my best friend since college, freshman year. Since then, like, and literally, hey, and we talked about this on the whole friends thing again. Like, that was like our second episode, matter of fact, last year. But the whole kids thing, I've always wanted them. Bring it back. I've always wanted children, and I find myself, I always wanted to do it. I was brought up in a nuclear household. I always wanted my children in a nuclear household, which, again, me being the person that I am, was always kind of like, I don't really know how that's gonna work, because I don't really have the desire to get married. But I want my children to grow up the way that I did, with like 2 parents in one house. Like, can I find a dude that's like, we together, like we dating, like we in here, like we not going anywhere, but we not really married, because I don't really want to do that. But I want the kids though. Like, I've always made stuff more complicated probably than it needs to be, but that's just me. That's me. I own it. I own me. Okay. So right now I'm looking truly at 35. You know, I'm 35 now. Woo. And I ain't got no kids. I'm tired of raising other people's kids. And it's not about here, you know, being called mom. I won't be called mom. I've been called Mimi. I've been called Miss Siobhan. I've been called, you know, auntie. And I'd like to be called mom. That'd be nice. And so for me, it's more of a planned situation. I have thought about that whole sperm donor thing, clinic thing. I thought about that at 24. I looked up that thing. The price tag on that said that is not for me.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
The price tag on that told me, I looked at the price, for those who don't know, it's like 8,000 to 12,000. Okay. And the price tag, when 24-year-old me saw that, because I knew who I was at 24, I was like, you know what? I know me. I'm honest. I'm realistic with myself. And I was like, whoo, there's a free option. I'm going to take that free option. I'm going to just take the free. I got to find a friend. I got to find a dude I trust. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this on the freeway. I'm going to do this the freeway. Okay? Because no.
We will not do another song episode for everything.
My best friend says I got musical Tourette's. I got a song for everything. Y'all know. So I was just like, okay. So right now, as it stands, I have 2 potential options, because I plan to be pregnant next year, y'all. I don't know what that's gonna do for the podcast. I'm gonna be sitting like Shaitan, drinking alcoholic-free beverage wine, whole lot of water,
a whole lot of sparkles. She's gonna get used to bubbles.
I'm gonna get some bubbly water and some apple cider, and some sparkling grape cider. But so yeah, for me personally right now, it's about planning. So I will say that for all the ladies out there that are planned, all the single moms by choice, although I have mixed feelings about that title anyway, but yeah, I'm with y'all. I represent for y'all on this here podcast, because I get it. I understand when, you know, either who you are or just how life has gone for you has not put you in a position to find Prince Charming, if you will, and you like, yo, but I still want these kids. I'm doing it by myself, and I may be with y'all next year. But again, I made the decision, and I've had conversations. I had a deal with my best friend. He's been on here back when we were like in our 20s, that if we were 30 with no kids, we were just gonna have a kid together. He messed that up because he had his son at like in our 20s, so he voided that contract. And it's fine. So now I'm really looking at, you know, just looking at my options, and I only have 2 options, y'all. The dude y'all see all the time, and the other guy y'all don't see, that I'm sure everybody will have something to say, and I'm gonna be like, y'all can say what y'all want to say, but I'm pregnant and my baby's coming, so oh well. Like, that's this me. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay. I am not having any more babies. Nope, unless it would definitely be a miracle baby, to the point where that birth control pill gets popped every night. Okay. 1, for other medical reasons. too, because I don't want no kids. And I was against taking those pills for a long time, but considering they help my other issues, and now slowly but surely approaching 40. And the son just had a birthday a few weeks ago. When y'all see this, who just turned 17? Yeah. I don't think my uterus can hold a baby at this point. Like it's retired. Okay. No, for real. I think it is to the point of, with us speaking about this, before I met my husband, would tell people my uterus was broke. I don't know if Siobhan remember.
I do.
I used to tell people all the time, nah, I can't have no more kids. Like, my uterus is broke. Now, I said it jokingly, but also there was an underlying seriousness to it, because I did have PCOS. Well, I do have PCOS and endometriosis. And the cousin, the anominosis, I got both of those. I got all three of those. So when I said it, I didn't know I had the last two, but I did know I had PCOS. So automatically I had already assumed that my uterus was broke. Even though I know PCOS has to do with the ovaries, like, I told them my uterus was broke. So when endometriosis and anominosis came on, I was like, so I was right, it's broke. And I knew something was wrong, because I would love to say I was the safest person in the world. But I know 90% of that was the Lord, and the other 10% of that was, it's extremely, extremely hard for you to get pregnant, period. So, not saying that I was out here like just woo-hooing, like letting it all, busting it open.
Letting it all hang out.
All right, no, it wasn't like that. But in the situations or relationships I was in, the fact that I didn't even have a scare, like, since my son was born, I haven't even had a pregnancy scare. Like, I might be pregnant. Like, that is that. Like, and like I can say that with confidence. Like, nope. So
I had one moment of concern.
Yeah, never had that. I haven't had one of those either.
I had one moment of concern.
Because my stuff was so inconsistent, but I knew when it was coming, because my body would change. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, it's just late this time. Oh, okay. Like that, I was just confident, like crazy confident, like stupidly confident, like for real, like realistically, like what? But that's why I say 90% of it was the Lord, and the other 10 was just my body saying, girl, please, we did this once. We're not doing this again. Like that's what that was. So when I got fast forward, when I got with my husband, he had 5. I had 1. Automatically, I knew, see, God, this is why you knew this was going to happen. So you set me up for the mindset of, I don't need no, because you're going to put some, that I didn't have to birth. That, all right. And then my baby loving husband goes, he wants to have another one to bring the family together. I was like, oh, marriage did that, baby. But I had always said, if I had another one, I would have to be married. So taking that into consideration, we did try, and that's how we got to the bottom of my health issues and really got, like, doctors involved in X, Y, and Z to find out exactly what was going on. So it was a plan to have one, but then the Lord here said,
yeah.
And slowly but surely, I can't even say surely yet, but slowly I've come to the, okay, I ain't got to have no more. I mean, I'm real good with not having no more. However, if it happened, I think I would be like,
yeah.
Because Malachi 17.
No, I get that.
Huh? And my bonus baby, the youngest, is 7. So now you talk about like realistically starting all the way over. Hold on. I could just have my niece that I could take, pat her, lever up, lay you punk a wonka, and give you back. I don't need. And then I thought about, when we were planning, I thought about like what that will look like for us because we're completely blended. So periodically, very rarely are there moments where, everybody is with their other parent. So we have that free time. And it was like, well, what this looks like if you get pregnant and have another one. The only free time is if it go to grandma's house.
Right.
Grandma meaning my mama, not the other set of grandparents.
Yeah.
So it was like, a lot of thought went into it. Like, what does that look like? What does school look like? What does work look like? What does finances look like? And I think we would have figured it out, as most of us do, because, we don't really plan for them. I do know my husband at one point had planned for a child before me. But unfortunately it didn't make it, or they didn't make it because it was twins. But consequently, we ended up getting who I call my hip, aka my nuisance. And little girl, she'll be 13 soon, like in a couple days. So, well, by the time this comes out, she'll already be 13 for like 2 weeks. So, but taking all of those things into like thinking about it and putting that into perspective, like what that looks like, it takes a lot. And I commend the people who actually go, oh no, we're going to make a plan. Like, we're going to make a plan it won't be oops, I popped up pregnant. Oops, I popped up pregnant again. Like, no. So, to have that experience is something that I would have loved to have had, but also I think that's something that I'm kind of glad I didn't have because I'm a little scared.
I think the whole thing about planning as someone who is a planner and planning is, as you said, life comes with its pros and cons anyway. And whether it's losing a child, whether it's miscarriage, whether it's having twins, and you were only open for one, because that's the other thing. You could be like, I'm having a baby, and I know twins run in my family. I don't know about either one of the options that I got on the table as far as fathers, but it could be me being like, I'm going to have a child next year. And the Lord being like, oh, you want a child so bad? Here you go. And being like, oh my Lord. And I had that conversation with my mother as well. And she was like, well, isn't that the best way to have them? I said, not if it's going to be me. like, I realized.
Whoa. I was planning for one. Let's not jump too far off this.
Like, if twins will be acceptable if it was me and the boyfriend, because we are together, we're in one house, it's the easier thing. If it's me and the other option, it's more of a, well, no, because they both with me, like, yeah, hold on.
It's okay.
Y'all, this thing here,
Technology be technology. Yes, I said technology. Yeah, but that's a lot.
Give me 1 second. They won't come back. Okay, Lord knows I hate having to edit. Anyway, so yeah, my whole thing about twins with the other option is that, I mean, it's just gonna be me in the house with them most of the time, because we're not gonna be in the same city. We aren't even gonna be in the same state. Like, we know this outright. So, But the thing about life anyway is, again, you can plan for so much, but there's so much that you can't plan for. I mean, people didn't plan for COVID and we made it. Like, you losing a job, getting a job, laid off.
Let's see, and like I said, life do life things. Like, people, you don't plan for things, but the child, prayerfully not, but the child can come out to have some type of, handicap or mental disorder. Those aren't things that people plan for, but they do happen. So taking things like that into you know, and thinking about things like that as you're going through that process of planning, if that's even a possibility, you do everything you can to avoid things and the risk and all of that. But life be life.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with my mother when I was younger, and I was just like, "Well, how'd you know you're ready for a kid?" She's like, "I mean, you're never really ready. You kind of just get to the point where you're like, all right, let's do it. Let's go for the shot." Because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't even know if you're going to get a boy or a girl. At the very basic level, you don't even know the gender of your child. You can't go to the store and pick this up. So if you can't pick a gender, you can't pick mental fortitude, you can't pick emotional reactions. You really don't know what you're getting. You are truly playing Russian roulette when you decide to have a child. If you decide to have a child, I mean, decide as a woman for the point of, yes, you can decide to give, well, you could at one point decide to keep or not. But there are many to the point made earlier that are just not planned. So whether you're planning to have a child or it's just one of those things that happens to come up is a pregnancy, there's still only so much in life you can plan for. So it's really just going into there mentally prepared. And I guess it's a matter of, do you have decades worth of thought planning like me? Or is it a matter of, you 23 or you're 16 even, or you're 19 and
or you're 20.
Or you're 20 and it's like, hey.
And the doctor tells you you're pregnant and you're 6 months. And you just had your menstrual cycle a week ago. That's life. That's real life.
But that's the other thing, like, and that's one of those, you have a week, you have 2 hours to get prepared. You know what I mean? Like, so
I was so unprepared. Let me tell y'all. This here me, right? I had always said, first of all, I didn't really want no kids. If I had any kids, it would be just one. Just one. Just one. And it would be with my husband. So we can share that responsibility. Yeah, didn't do that right. And the Lord here has said, hey, there you go. And I was like, whoa. I don't even know how to change a diaper. Like, I didn't know how to change a diaper until my son got here. Son was born on the 11th. I learned how to change a diaper on the 11th of 2005. That's how unprepared and in denial I was. Who pregnant? What? Sonogram, lady showing heartbeat. I'm like, oh, it's something in it.
Lord. And me over here, I learned how to change a diaper when I was 7. On my cousin, who is now a grown man with a daughter of his own and a whole wife. And hey Jared, and I used to clown him about that. I still love that's my hobby right there.
I
but
Isha and was like, Isha, change your paper. She laughed at me. So, y'all, my stomach went from being as flat as a board because I was skinty with a big butt, flat as a board, to looking like somebody took a basketball, just like swoop, put it up under her shirt. My cousin was like, "You're not pregnant." I pulled my shirt back because I had on a big t-shirt. She said, "What's that?" That's how like, huh? What you have mean? Somebody gonna call me mommy? Why would you do that? Do you know how irresponsible I am? Like, I told my, I'm not even old enough to drink. Like, that's, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess for me, I think being, and I understand, I empathize with guys. And again, I don't know, throw the pick me label on me again for this one, because they don't really choose. They choose to lay down, so they do need to take that responsibility.
Period.
But it's also a matter of, but you don't really choose to have kids. Mm-hmm. That's not your choice of whether the child is brought to term or not. And a lot of stuff, like me, I've constantly, as I've gotten older and more, of course, it's less and less likely to find a unicorn like myself with no children. So, if you date and you take in somebody, we had this whole conversation about dating kids. Yes, check that out. Taking on someone with children the same way that I did a boyfriend, the same way that I did the other option. And a couple, like, that you take these kids on when you take that on. The level or extent to which can vary. This has been the most I've been involved because the kids live in the house where I live. And so, but I think for me, it's gotten to the point where I'm tired of raising everybody else's kids, man. Like, if I'm going to get the responsibility and live into it, because that's just who I am a nurturer. I'm a true Cancerian. Cancerians, we are nurturers. We are also moody. We will also cuss you out. We also don't want to bother, but we are nurturers when we tap into that. And as that, I'm really just tired of nurturing everybody else and not getting my own just dues. And I've seen that in relationships that I've been in where I'm like a giver. And then I get resentful if I'm not getting that same energy. So with me, when it comes to the children, while I know that kids are ungrateful. Like, we've all been kids. If you're an adult, you were a child, be honest, you were ungrateful. There were some things you were ungrateful about. It is what it is. But you look at your parent after a certain age and go, I get it. Whether you have kids or you don't. Right. You go, yo, with maturity, I understand, I appreciate. With someone else's kids, and I speak this as someone who is a de facto stepmother, even though I'm not actually, but I live in that world, though I am not by law. I don't know. And I know that the boyfriend is constantly saying, they'll get it when they're older. They'll get it when they're older. Maybe. I would like to hope that, but that's not a guarantee. They really may not. And the way that the world that the world talks about women raising kids anyway, they may not. If I were a guy, potentially, just because the world still goes, oh my God, yeah, to men who step in and take care of children that aren't theirs. But still, as a woman, there's like this expectation socially that you're just going to take care of everybody's kids, whether they're yours or not anyway. So to an extent, I'm like, they might not, because they might go, well, Miss Siobhan did all this stuff for me. And the world will tell them, but yeah, she's a chick. That's what she's supposed to do. Like, and then you're even less going to appreciate what I did because of my gender. You just feel like you were entitled to the love, care, and nurture that I gave you, which even was more than what your own mother did, quite frankly.
Yeah, and I think that's something that step parents, depending on, like you said, where they are and how that relationship goes, is played, but it also depends on the child. It also depends on the values that's installed. And we do have to sometimes face the fact that we can install the good things. We can teach the great things. We can teach them right from wrong. We can show them the right way, give them, have all this. They can have all the support in the world, and they can still turn out to be shitty ass people. Mm-hmm. So, and as a parent in general, not just a step parent, that's something that I think all parents kind of think about, that's why sometimes, when the news will be like, oh, well, where were their parents? Pause. How do you not know? Everybody doesn't have certain levels of trauma to make them out to be that way. Some people just choose to be that way.
Or just are that way. Psychologically, just truly the same way that you have people that are just born autistic. You have people that are just born missing, that there are connections that are not made.
Yeah, you have people that are born without a conscience. You have people that are legit.
Yeah. I watch murder shows and stuff all the time where they do full CAT scans and sonograms, and it's a mix of nature and nurture.
Yeah, it's a mix of the two. And that's why I could never be one more for the other. When I would be asked that question, oh, do you believe in nature or nurture? And I'm like, I have to go 50-50. I have to be in the middle because, one, being raised in a blended family, so to speak, but in the same retrospect, being raised in a somewhat nuclear family, so to speak. And then just looking at the differences between me and my sisters and brothers. And I'm like, we was all raised the same. How is your logic this? How, okay, and my logic is this.
Yeah, it's just a lot of nature versus nurture.
It's a lot of self-interpretation. It's a lot of whatever's going on in your own mind. So we have to be aware of that. But that is something that as parents we think about. And that's something that when you're planning, you think when you are, and I think for me, now that I'm speaking about it, I think God did good with me. I'm not gonna speak for everybody else. With me, the way that he did it, because I am an overthinker. I am someone who over processes things, and I have to pull myself back, like consciously, like pull myself back. At a younger age, I didn't recognize that because I wasn't emotionally, mature enough to recognize that then. But 19, 20, don't think about that. So my over processing self had I thought about having one, like planning for one, I would have drove myself crazy. I legit would have drove myself crazy to the point where there's no telling what may or may not have happened, during that time. So I think for me, the unexpected is a good thing.
I think for me, this is the most patient I've been in, like waiting for the sign or for the plan,
the time,
and the time. But I also realized that I feel bad at planning this and planning as a, and I'm really gonna say this, planning this and planning as to be a single mom by choice or what have you. One of my concerns is the health of the child, because again, just never really know. I don't really care about the gender, that you just never know. The other big thing is I feel a mixture of selfishness, because, and it's funny to me because there have been times over the course of my life, I'm like, I don't really want kids because I was like doing too much or just not the time. And I remember seeing a lot of stuff where women who said they didn't want children were called selfish. And I was like, how? But it's like me, I feel a selfish moment because I feel a bit of selfishness because I'm literally bringing kids into a world and I know it's not. Okay. It's just not. Never really has been, but it's certainly not. So that's that. The other part is I'm not bringing you into what I would have wanted. But unfortunately, you're going to be born of a mother who probably wasn't going to be able to give you that necessarily anyway. In that, while I would have loved to give you a nuclear family, young girl, young male child, that would have required me to date. That would have required me to be emotionally open and available on certain levels. That would have required me to have settled in ways that I wasn't willing to, like at the times that I would have had to settle to do that, because it's not for lack of proposal. It's not for lack of male interest. It's not for lack of any of that I have not yet brought a child into a nuclear family, because I could have been married like back in my 20s. I didn't want that. And I didn't want it with the people that were offering it to me. So I feel a pin of guilt because there's the potential, there's a chance that I will not bring my child into the nuclear family that I had with the two parents in one house and all of that. There's that potential. The one thing, and this is, I guess, the pros and cons of life that I am trying and has been the biggest thing to me to have a child, has been making sure that my daughter, if I have, because you can't, again, say it again, you cannot pick gender, guys, can't pick gender. If I have a daughter, that her relationship with her father is much better than mine was. That they have one that is healthy, that is nurturing, that is encouraging. I want to, if I cannot, I think any parent wants your child to have better than you do. What sucks is that you also realize in certain areas, you may have to lose this to get this. And that's just life. And while my kid may have to lose the nuclear, I'm cool with you losing the nuclear if you get if you get the better father, truly, because because I've also seen, as asinine as this is, married single mothers.
Yes.
So again, just because dude is in the house does not mean he's active or a parent or involved or any of that. So like, I could give you nuclear, but if that's the nuclear, which I would hope not, but if that's the nuclear I ended up giving you, how did I better you? Versus, we're not together, your father and I, but we decided, we agreed on this co-parenting thing before you were here. We had real conversations before you got here. When you got here, we made an agreement. We've worked within that from the beginning to where you've always had stability, even if separate. And that's the same with a lot of relationships. You shouldn't, and I know a lot of people don't do long distance, and I can understand that for various reasons, but if your dude takes a trip for a business, or takes a business trip for a month to Dubai, your whole relationship, whether y'all are together or married, should not fall because he's out of whatever for a month. Like, there has to be a stability set. There has to be a foundation set. And while I would have loved to give my child all of, the nuclear and the stuff, I just don't have it in me to be who I'm not either, as a woman, and who I am, and as a partner, and being all, people tell me I'm hard to love, and I don't disagree with that. So my bigger thing than giving the nuclear at this point is that my child has a father that wants her. And I have to say that way because I'm not concerned if I have a boy. Most dudes stick around for their sons. My biggest concern is, I'm not saying all of them, but I'm definitely not saying all of them. But if we were to do the stats, you would probably find that more guys walk out on their daughters than their sons. And I don't, whether it's because they do well, she got a mom and, I can't teach a girl all of that stuff that people say and do. I would rather just, for me, make sure that my daughter has what I didn't. And that's what I didn't. That's what I would have wanted. That's what I want for my child more than anything. And I think as parents, we kind of have to, as parents, whether they're your kids, whether they're a step kid, whether they're a foster kid, whether they're an adopted kid, if you're an actual good parent, not talking about the trash fosters and all that other stuff, you want better than you had for your kid.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. Even when they only call you or text you or say something when they need some money. Oh, we're not talking about me. Okay. No, and that's true. We all in all, y'all, planning children is a whole different lifestyle in itself. And we know this.
Yeah,
okay.
Man.
We know this. But they are in some crazy way a joy. Before we wrap this up, quick story. Today, I came out the bathroom, I washed my hands. And I had a thought, because y'all know how my brain works. It just be going, right? Right? It just be like, ooh. So, and my children were in the room. Well, two of them, the older two. So I asked my bio kid, my halfway grown man, who I still call man. Yes, like he 5. If you could describe your mother in one word, what would it be? Now, of course, my nuisance, aka my hip, was in there. And she goes, ooh, can I do to it? Can I participate too? I was like, okay. And she was like, so like, you want like you, my mom, or like my mom, like the one that carried me? I was like, it's up to you. You can do both. You can do one. I don't care. So she goes, black. I was like, what? Malachi goes, yep, you are a black mama. I was like, explain. And they were like, and he goes, I mean, you're loving, but you're aggressive. I said, so you saying that Black mamas are loving and aggressive? He was like, yes. Sometimes I said, there are white mamas that are loving and aggressive. He said, no. They be like, oh, little Timmy. These are his exact words. No, little Timmy, don't do that. Oh, little Timmy. Like, and Jayla's like, yeah, they be like, no, Bob, no, you can't go over there. Come back with mom. Black mamas be like, but they play with you. And I was like, so your description of me is Black. I said, okay. Is there another word that you would use to describe me? So now the other two are in the room. Baby girl goes, gorgeous. My stepmommy is gorgeous. I was like, oh shit, I like that. I need to, come on, throw some more words out.
She wants something.
You know, I was like, oh shit, man. She wanted your punishment. That's what that was. I was like, oh, I like that. But however, keep talking like this. It might work.
You might get out.
So she's like, gorgeous. My middle son goes, clean.
Okay.
So my OGK turned back around and says, what did he say? Something like thoughtful or something like that. And what Jayla said something, and it was so Jayla. But I was like, I got like clean, gorgeous, thoughtful, and whatever the little nuisance of mine said. I was like, okay. And what made me think about it was the fact that I was thinking about someone who I watch on YouTube, their family member just passed. So I was thinking about like, what would they say about me at my funeral? How would I be remembered by my children? So because I didn't want to bring death into it,
right? Yeah.
I formulated the question that way. I wasn't upset with the answers, but when my middle son said clean, I was like, okay. 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 So I'm saying like little things like that. And I wish I could remember what that heifer said. I really do. Cause it was like, really. It's moments like that, you know, that happen and you go, you gotta love kids. You gotta love kids, you know. So those are the things that when you're planning, while you think about all the other stuff, if you are planning to have a child, think about that too. Like while all that stuff is heavy, also think about the joy, the pure joy that will come. Also think about the unconditional love. I will tell anyone, I won't say you don't know love because you know your parents. For those of us who have good relationships, if you know your parents, you know love, but you don't know love until you have a child and you're there, you know, like, and you care. Like if you just care, you have a child and you care, so you care enough to be there, then that you recognize, oh, so this is what love is, you know, when you gotta yell, you gotta, and then 2 seconds later, it's that purity in and out. I can't do anything but hug you, but you make me sick, but I don't want to let you go. That type of thing. I have it all the time, especially with this boy. Like I told my mother yesterday, I'm not even 40 yet. What are he doing almost being grown? What's this? That's stupid.
But I think and I think any kid that had a good parent feels that way. Like my mom, and it's only because my weight now and she lost weight, but I would cuddle up on my mother at 25. I would go home, and if she was sitting on the couch, I'd literally sit on her lap and get right. And she would be like, Siobhan,
why?
And I'm like, listen.
Just take it.
Mommy. Hello, mommy. Sometimes I needed a clingy moment. Then I can't lay on my grandmother because she was too flipping fragile. So I laid on my mother. Yeah, I've had great moments with pretty much all the kids that I've had a hand in raising. And it's I will say you don't have to give birth to have that experience.
Right.
I know that I have not seen, and I will love this. I will love this kid till he dies, or I go before him. I should go before. I have known this little boy since he was 2, about to be 3 years old, and there have been gaps when I did not see him. And he knows Mac from the back to the front, the top to the bottom. He knows me. I did not see him 3 years, and this is in kids. Like the last thing I saw him when he was 5, and then when I moved in 2012, he was like 8. And I was sitting with my back to the door, and my boy walked in the door. I didn't even look, didn't turn around, didn't anything. Door opens, you heard ding ding. He opened the door, and I turned around and I said, "Oh my face!" And he didn't. I hadn't seen him in 3 years. Now I haven't really changed much, but you know, kids are around a lot of people. He grew. COVID happened. Didn't see him for another 3 years. By the time I saw him again last year, he was, I want to say 16. Hadn't seen him since he was like 12 or 13. 12 turning 13. I think I saw him again. He was 15 or 16. And I came in the door, and this boy came around the corner. And first of all, the last time I saw him, we was height. Okay, we was here. We were eye level. I'm 5'3". He was maybe 5'3", 5'4". I come in 3 years later. This dude is 6'2". Okay. All right. So when he came around the corner, I said, "Oh, hey, oh my God, Mac, voice all deep."
Change.
Listen, voice all deep, looking like a grown man. Just, "Hey, Mac, gotta bend down." I'm like, bend down and give me them kick, boy. Like that. I saw him Sunday, and every time I see him, I saw him, and he came out of church, and he gave me a hug. And, "Hey, Mac," and I said, "Hey, Mac, I love you so much." He's like, "I love you too." That's been my kid. Like that's been my homie for pretty much most of his life, because he's a good, it's been 14 years now. I think he's like 16 or 17 at this point.
Yeah, that's why when you start talking about your how long you and your best friend, I was like, wait, Malachi was how old? Ooh.
Yeah. When I met my best friend, he wasn't even here yet. But and so you don't have to have children. I will say this to all my fellows in my boat: you don't have to have children to have that understanding or have that love. But it is different.
It is
than when it's your own. And part of it really may not, I think part of it is a mix. It's the kid and it's you. It's both sides look at it differently.
Mm-hmm.
The exception that I've experienced with that was my son, was my godson. And I think it's because I've been there since day one, A1. I was in there picking him up every weekend. We was with Mimi Friday through Sunday. He didn't know any different. It was like, that's mommy, that's Mimi. We were on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
Now I haven't seen that boy in like 5-6 years. So he's a whole 14, I think now. Like these teenagers.
Girl.
But I will say that to me, that was the exception, because I looked at him as my son. I called him my
Absolutely.
son. He was my son. There was no difference. There was no, "Oh, that's my friend's son." No, that little boy was my son, to the point where people who knew me, like our first, like Alexis, when I would put on Facebook back when I had it, Siobhan was pregnant. Like I hear from the grapevine that Alexis been asking if you were pregnant. I think she's confused about. I said, "Oh. Yeah, because I don't remember her being pregnant. She got a son," because he was my son. That was it. It wasn't, "That's my godson." That was my son. And I left it there. And that's how I looked at him. And he's been the only kid that I've looked at that way. And I think the love was the same. Like he saw Mimi and Mimi was Mimi. Mimi and mommy were on the same level. Like there wasn't really a difference.
No, and that's true. That's true. And because that baby boy of mine, that's my man.
But I think that too, and to the point of age, I swear we're gonna wrap this up, y'all. But you know, we can talk about kids. But I think that's part of when it comes to what age did you come in? I came into my godson when he was literally born, like He was born 2 weeks later. I was home on spring break, and here you go. And I'm like, oh, all 20-year-old me was like, oh, okay, how you doing? Okay, my son is the first little kid that I've ever called an asshole to his face, because he was like 3 months old, and Elle called me, my best friend called me, and I was like, oh, you want to see the phone? And he like reached for the phone, looked at my phone, held it, and was like, hang up. I was like, you asshole. Like, I was like, of all the buttons that are on this phone, you looked for the hang up. I don't believe that you did. Oh, you looked for the hang up.
Parker Walker will look at the phone and she will talk to you, and then when she's done, okay, button. Rio.
But what killed me was this boy wasn't even a year yet. He wasn't even a year yet. He held his phone and looked at it like,
oh, or when, especially these kids nowadays, when they look at it like, because they know FaceTime. If it's not on FaceTime, Rio be like, oh, I can't see nothing. Click. It's not go.
That patience, man. That patience.
It's so rude. It's so rude.
Just rude.
But
I think age plays a part. And I think that's part of the reason that Face and I will always connect, because I came around when he was 2. I think the reason that the littlest one in here and I have probably will be good for a while, because I came around, he was 2. It's easier the younger you come in.
Most of the
time. There's always exceptions to every rule.
Yes, definitely always exceptions.
But I think in my experience from Face, from my Puda, and from my monkey, that I came in all those kids' lives either age 2 or under. 3 or under. And they don't know anything but Mimi, Mac, and Miss Siobhan. That's it. So
I understand. There's always exceptions too. There's always exceptions to the point that when Son came about, I was like, oh, so it's not me. Okay. Because I was questioning myself for a minute. I was like, no, I know goodwill. Oh, it's not me. Okay, I can calm down. But ladies and gentlemen, overall, we're just saying, whether you're planning a child or one comes up unexpectedly, embrace it. If you're planning a child, try not to. We want you to think it through, absolutely, but don't overthink it.
If you're going to do it by yourself, if you're planning to do it by yourself, enjoy the process. That's the one thing that I've had to keep telling myself. And if you've done it and you are going into this logically, you're actually in a good position. I won't say better or worse. I would just say you're in a good position, because I think, and I say this as someone who's watched a lot of single mothers over the years and people who have like, oops, bad pregnancy, I got to figure this out. You get to go in this, especially into the older mothers, whether it's an oops or not. I would hope that if you are like more stable the older you are, but if you're planning, half of what throws off a lot of people, men and women, families, is that they're financially not ready. If you have made the decision to do this on your own, then I would just hope that you've planned financially as best you can, because again, COVID things, life's gonna happen. That's not as much of an issue. That you have gone into it thinking logically, because whether you are going to do this on the freeway like me, or you gonna go spend 8 to 12 G's, you know the investment that, listen, you about to make it rain in the clinic. You know that you are going into this logically. You're not going into this, yes, there's emotion because you want to be that mother, but you are also going into this with a high level of logic. Especially if you really gonna let somebody poke, prod, and syringe up your uterus and your cervix. More power to you. As someone who's had 10 IUDs, I just don't wish that on anybody.
Someone who has had cramps.
Listen, I don't recommend. That's oh God. But you are in a good position to do so. So if you are planning, know that financially you should be in a good place. Make sure you have your support system together. Breathe through it. enjoy it.
Enjoy the process.
Fuck what anybody's got to say, and I'm gonna say it straight like that. That's a naysayer to your process, because you're gonna have them, whether you did this the traditional way, whether
or
you
the oops, I did it again.
The oops way, the oops, I did it again. The plan. There's gonna be naysayers no matter which way you go. So just enjoy the process. If you're planning, truly enjoy the process, man.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will say cheers to that. So on this lengthy episode of Having Babies, as we conclude, Siobhan, what's your rating on your popping greats with Boys to Men Harmony?
Okay, so I have a little something on the back. While touring, we discovered Chateau Auguste, a truly incredible wine. Here, the vines are played music twice a day. This practice, called genodix, interesting, is based on the science that music boosts the natural immunity of the vines and helps create an authentic wine without additives or pesticides. It's 12% alcohol by volume, imported by some people out of Tennessee, but it comes from France. Okay. Which doesn't surprise me, it's a Bordeaux. I'm not a fan. It's got like a grapefruity taste to it. To me, it's a flat rosé because it's a Bordeaux. But I don't like, it's really not doing anything for me. Like I would give this a 2.
Oh.
I would love to love it more. It's a very pretty color. The bottle is quite nice. I like the little simple H. It's cute. But the taste on this, like, to me, it's a dry. It's probably like a medium body. It's just not. It's crisp with a bite, but it's the grapefruit to me that I feel like I'm tasting. It's either that or floral. Like, and it could be both. I don't know, I don't okay. But the smell was nice, but the taste to me was just like, oh. Now I also think this would have been better chilled longer. Like, this might make a really nice frozen something or really, really cold something. Because when I first drank it, I was like, oh, I wish this were colder. So the warmer this gets is a nah. And to be honest, rosé is supposed to be cold. Like, you're not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to be room temperature. And like, yeah, the longer it's been here, the worse it's gotten. So I'm gonna have to give it a 2.
Well, all right, for the 2. So for this pink Moscato, it tastes like a pink Moscato. I will say the smell, though. The smell of this is pretty. Like, it smells pretty. It smells light. It smells like it should be a Gabrielle, you might want to think about making this smell a candle if you haven't already. I don't know, but it smells great. It does have the bubbles. It's sweet, but it's a pink Moscato is what I expected. It's a dessert wine. I am gonna go drink some water after this. Probably finish out the rest of my gallon because I'm almost done it. I'm almost finished it. But so my rating for this is gonna be a 3. Because I'm not a big fan of Moscato. However, this was, to me, if you go into a party and so everybody drinks Moscato, this would be just a different Moscato to bring that'll have people asking the question, oh, what's this? Because they are not familiar with the bottle.
Gotcha.
So, if you just want to look like, ooh, I didn't bring Sutter home, I'm just being honest because
or barefoot, because that's like
or barefoot, or what is it, the
Roscata.
Yeah, like if you don't want to bring that, grab Gabrielle. It tastes the same. It tastes like a pink Moscato, and you get a nice talk piece. Like you look like, oh no, this is, you can be like, oh no, this is Italian. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's Gabriella. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can put a little oomph into it. But it wasn't bad. I feel like, yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, I don't have any complaints about it. It's not anything outstanding to me. It just tastes like a pink Moscato, which I'm actually relieved about, because I was like, this tastes nasty. I'm gonna be mad.
I mean, middle of the road is better than disgusting.
Period. Okay. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the conclusion of another wonderful episode of A Little Something to Write About with your hostesses of the mostesses, Taya Michelle
and Siobhan Camille. Lord Jesus. Amen.
Oh goodness, be sure to join us next week for more laughs, more fun, and of course more wine. And we go live on the last Wednesday. We go live on the last Saturday.
That's it.
Saturday of the month at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure that you join us live on Instagram and YouTube. We can be sure to follow us at A Little Something, the number 2, Wine About. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and that notification bell. And remember, as always,
there's nothing wrong with a little wine or a lot.
Or a lot.
Thank you for whining with us on this episode of A Little Something to Whine About. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to join us live the last Saturday of every month on YouTube or Instagram. And we'll see you next Wednesday for more fun, more laughs, and of course, more wine.